Hey guys, welcome to the workshop. It's been a little while since I've done one of these update videos, and so I thought let's go ahead and jump into kind of talking about some previous videos, but also let's talk about a topic that ties into some of these videos. So we're going to talk a little bit about tool totes versus toolboxes, in really if you use either or. But on that note, let's kind of jump back to the videos that I recently put out. Okay, so since my last video, I did put out an opinion. I wanted to get a take on something, and I pretty much got my answer. I did a poll on whether or not you think I should move my upload videos to Saturday from Friday, and the majority said yes. So if you've not already noticed, my videos are going up on Saturday. It just kind of works out easier for me anyways, because Friday night is my workshop night, and so I spend all the time in the workshop. Friday night, also do a little bit editing for the video that's coming out the following Friday. But now with being Saturday, we're a little bit busier now in this time of year. I just think it's going to work out better in the long run anyways. And so after that video, I'm looking at my phone because I forget now, made a simple tool tote. And I'm going to be honest with you, I made this because I wanted to make one for a while. Didn't really feel like I had the need for it, but oh my, I love it. I'm using it right now outside. We're doing some remodeling out in the front of our house, and so I'm throwing in all the tools. And what's so cool is you just throw them in there. You don't have to try to put them in a special compartment because there are none. It's great. It's really turned out good. The video itself is a good video. I was proud of how that one turned out. Once again, I've tweaked my thumbnails just a little bit so that I can showcase more of an actual picture versus the artwork. But that particular project was really neat and really encouraging. And so the following project I did actually utilized it too, which was the raised garden beds. We've been basically preparing for spring and telling ourselves we wanted to make some of these things to raise the garden out of where we used to have it. We had a big spot in our yard we used for gardening, and every year it just seems like we did less and less. And then last year we did some simple raised beds. We're only about 10 inches off the ground. They did okay, but we just cut back even more this year. So we turned that all back to grass, and now it's part of our yard. And we put these things basically where you saw in the video, which is nowhere near the living spaces of the yard. So when I was making that, I decided to use the tool tote. I put my drill in there, put my screws, put all those things in there, and I was really, really happy with how it turned out using that thing. It really made me say that I need to use this more often. And the whole purpose of making that tool tote was so that I could do these things around the house without carrying around a 5-gallon bucket full of tools, or even a toolbox, or just up and down steps all day. My workshop's in the basement. We've got our main level and then an attic / second floor basically. And I don't like going up and down all those steps multiple times. So that tool tote came in handy for just house projects. It also came in handy for that garden raised bed, which is doing phenomenal. All the plants we planted in there are doing really good. We ended up putting about like 12 inches of really good rich soil that we went and bought, just because our yard doesn't have really good soil. But now as the years go, we'll be able to mix it in. So along with the garden thing, something I've wanted to do for a while, which you may have noticed has sat on my workbench for a long time, and the old prototype is actually still there. And it is one of these wooden birds. Sometimes they're called a whirligig, and they basically move the wings with the wind. Some of them will actually turn with the wind, kind of like a wind compass, but I didn't want to do that for this one. It's just stationary. I did it in honor of my grandfather. My dad also had one, and then my wife's grandfather had one, and he just passed away. So in that vein, that really kind of spurred me on to just go ahead, get this thing done, get it made. And because I made it, I also made templates, and so it was kind of my first time really experimenting with getting good templates, and seems like they've taken off. I've had a few people purchase them, and if you're not already aware, you can purchase them. They're in my store, which is in the description of this video. And so you could download these templates. They're full scale, so you print them off, and then you can tape them together and make the wooden bird. And so after that, took a big course off. The main, we're here in springtime, and so far all my project videos have been spring related. But this one, it doesn't fit in any season, but maybe it does fit more in spring, is enlarging an attic access. Now, if you're not aware already, what I do, my day-to-day job is heating and air conditioning. And along with that, sometimes we are replacing systems that are in attics. And the attic access size is so important because you can't fit a unit through a hole that's not big enough. So either we've got to make it bigger or someone else has got to make it bigger. And in this case, we were going to get ready to do this job, and the hole needed to be bigger. And so my neighbor had me come over, looked at it, and I said, yep, I can make it bigger. He wanted it as big as possible. I said, that's awesome. So we went as big as possible. And generally, you may not want to go that big, and you can go as small as you want. But you do want to make sure that whatever that hole size is, that it's the full width between the joist in the ceiling. Because why not? And as far as the depth in there, you can kind of go with whatever you want. But if you make a good square hole, then you can't go wrong. But in this case, we went the entire space, and it ended up being, I think, 35 inches by 22, I think, which is plenty big enough. And so that video has actually helped a lot of people. It's also kind of in the same vein of what I have done a couple other videos on before as well. There you have it. Those are those videos. But you know, we've talked a lot about this tool tote, and to me, it just really screams a lot of really cool stuff. But I wanted to kind of pose that question and kind of have a little open discussion about it. Is, you know, I do have tool totes that aren't wooden. It's a fabric one. It's got pockets on it. It's got all these different things. And then I've got tool boxes. I've got one for my electrical supplies. I've got ones for my drywall supplies, and they're super handy. And I've actually made a video about, you know, the toolbox thing. It's kind of a tip video, but basically, you know, it's, if you're going to have a house and you're going to do your own stuff, it's good to have a box that's designated for certain things. So in this one, it was an electrical box, and then I have another one that's for all the drywall stuff. But as far as stuff you don't typically use, so say for instance, gonna go pull a baseboard trim off the wall, you know, or off the, you know, the bottom of the wall. You know, you're not gonna have a box that's specifically for that. So you're gonna end up getting the tools you need. You know, a hammer, pry bar, maybe a screwdriver, and you're gonna want to put them in something. You can put them in a 5-gallon bucket. It's not very elegant, but it works. I personally liked it doing a tool tote, and I think that's where that comes in handy. You can just throw that stuff in there, go and do your job, and then bring it back to your shop. Even if you're going to go to someone else's house, like a family relative, many times I've gone over to my sister-in-law's house, or even my in-laws or my parents, and just, you know, if they needed something done, I could think through what I'm going to need, throw them all in this box, so it's just not all designated for just that, and go do the job. So I kind of think there's a good reason for both of them. I just think that it depends on what you're doing. I really love it, and I'm curious, is that something that you actually do? If you decided to say, hey, well, you know, I do a lot of electrical stuff. Say you've got an outlet that goes bad, well, all you gotta do is grab that box, go to the outlet, and everything should be in that box. I've got a meter, I've got screwdrivers, I've got all sorts of stuff, even little pieces of wire, switches. That's where it all goes. It has its place. And like I said, same thing with drywall. When I'm going to go and maybe have to patch something, just grab the box, everything's in it. Maybe except drywall mud, but that's another story. So, you know, is that something you do? I think it's a very highly effective way of maximizing the time you have to do something that, you know, you want to do as quick as possible. So, this week's video, at least I think it's going to be this week's video, is going to be kind of a one thing versus another thing. It's not a review product video. It's actually something that I've kind of thought about for a while, but that's about all I want to say about it. So you'll be hopefully looking for it this Saturday. So that's pretty much it for this video. I know it went over the 5-minute mark. That rule's kind of out the window. I don't want to rush these things just to stay within a certain time limit. So thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you for watching the past videos, and please, if you haven't already, go check out all the videos I just mentioned, and that's about it. So we'll see you next time right here in the workshop.